All right, we're going to call the meeting order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending. On the agenda tonight, first thing up, we'll go ahead and go to the Clerk Treasurer's report. Angela. Good evening.
Hi. My kid doesn't have any sports today.
Awesome.
Amazing. Vouchers, $9,170.55. And then there's a sheet I'm passing around on top of it, just shows you the donations that we received last year, how they were spent, and what we have left, just so you know.
Okay. And generally speaking, how do our funds look percentage-wise?
Here's the rest of your stuff.
Oh, awesome.
The appropriations report, I highlighted some stuff, wrote some notes on it. Review it when you have a chance, and then just either give me a call or meet up with me sometime and we can go over it together. It's just regarding, I'm just trying to get prepped for budget for next year.
Sure.
So I'm just starting to look at different things, and I just wrote some notes on it for you.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Any questions for Angela?
No.
Nope.
All right. It's not on the agenda, but minutes from last meeting. I know Janet shot out a copy of those. I know
You know what, this is just the rough draft, I will add that to the.
Oh, for the
and I'll
agenda,
put it
sure.
in.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
sorry.
Okay. I didn't see any comments on here.
No.
So
I'll move for approval.
thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Very well. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, 3-0. And I will sign that copy and shoot it over to you.
Yep, please.
Yep. All right, Park Administrator's Report. Janet.
Oh. It's been a
What are you
long-
looking for?
It's been a long day. The two pickleball quotes that we had coming in, both called and said they have been so busy, neither one of them have had a chance to get to
Okay.
Riverside. This is their busy season. He said he will, as soon as he gets a moment, he promises, he will get over and he will try to get it in. He said they quote so many of them, basically he just has to come over and see what the difference between our land prep would be and anybody else's land prep. So the pickleball courts, the money's not gonna change, it's gonna be this amount of money. He said, but depending on how much he preps or how much he doesn't have to prep, it could be the difference between 5, 10, 15, 20,000, whether it's level, not level, what they hit when they start excavating. So that's that part. David? We were looking at evergreens because I told you we had the 2 trees that got damaged, 2 trees that got blown out completely, we had to remove them. And when I went over to look them up, the guy brought me and said, why don't we wait and put them in until late September, early October? Because most of the evergreens we have do really well in the fall. He said you can put them in now, but he said, do you have a full-time water person? And I said, no. He said, the one thing about them is in the first 6 weeks, you really got to make sure they don't get too dry. You got to keep them going. So that's great. He said, we can come over in September, pick out what we want, he'll tag them. And then when the guys slow down with mowing, they can dig the holes and put them in. So that's good about that.
Can we get pricing now on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to change. The
Okay.
pricing isn't going to change. The ones that we picked out that were like $210, $220, they're all going to be in that same price range, maybe $230. But we went with the dwarf ones because we didn't want the 10 footers. We wanted the ones that get about 6, 7 foot that fill out. They look more like Christmas trees, so we could put lights on. That's what we wanted. So that's what we're looking at. The Scott from Miracle came up today and put the pole in for the 10 spinner. It has 72 hours before he can come back and put it on. It has to sit in the concrete. If the spot looks good, it met his approval. The mulch, he said we could use more mulch. I explained to him when we have it coming, and he said that's fine. We're okay, but he said technically when he put his yardstick down, his movement, he said we really are about 2 inches short. But I explained that the Goodwill kids are going to do it, and he said you're good. The Goodwill kids, we give that, we're up to 11 from 9, so we have 11 kids that are gonna be giving us, 3 days a week. Some are gonna give us 4 hours, some are gonna give us 5. Armando is gonna give us all of Don's schedule. So she's okayed it, so if Don puts in 25 hours a week, she's gonna let Armando work 25 hours a week and pay for it with Don. So that's gonna be a super bonus every week for us. And the Christmas tree displays, I told you they're in, it's just a matter of Angela's trailer, getting her trailer in her truck and heading up and bringing those back. We'll store them in a thing, but they're paid for, they're done, they're ready to go, so we are good. We're good for this year at least. And then if we decide we want more, that's something we can do later, but for right now, we're gonna have a pretty nice display of the cost.
So two things.
Yes.
On the spinner, I think we ought to make a big deal about that when we put it in. I mean,
Well, we're gonna be in the front page of the paper. The
Okay.
paper's already said, if I can get a couple kids, put them on it, and take some stock pictures, not video, but take some stock pictures, they'll be glad to put it in the front page. And then the Lions Club, of course, would like to be there, someone from the Lions Club will be there to represent them, so that they can also get credit for.
well, and I'd call
You
the
think it's-
JG too. I mean, heck,
General Gazette, see
Yeah.
if they'll do something?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think one of the radio, TV stations would do something?
That's a tough one. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt to
it's
try. It doesn't hurt to
expensive.
try, but they are so. I mean, they only have
It's expensive.
one person. No, it's not. Not
Yeah.
money to it.
Yeah.
But they only have one person, and the further out of downtown you get, the harder
Yeah,
it is to get
right.
someone. So,
Right.
but the Journal Gazette, you could, or we could just take a picture and submit it to them to put in. I mean,
Right.
you know,
I could write the article and
Yeah.
put it in there, thanking everybody for their support.
because we always do this letter to the editor too. You know, I just think it's something that we need to say. This is a great community to live in. Here's some of the great stuff we got going on. So,
Right.
We'll make sure we cover it well, so I'm excited to get some pictures and get some kids on it.
second thing, you said in your notes that we needed money for the snacks for the Goodwill kids.
Right, that's Angela, we do have money put back for that, right?
I'm just pulling it out of miscellaneous supplies.
Okay, so
We still have some left.
we'll be okay on that, you think?
I still have $130 left in there, so we'll be over the appropriation, but you can pull it from somewhere else.
We give her, last year we gave her a case of water a week that we picked up, and then we gave them a box from Sam's of the assorted chips and snacks, and then we gave them some cereal bars, so, we talked about that in comparison to what we give them, in comparison to what we get, we were like.
Oh, no. I think
They're
it's,
so far ahead.
no, what I'm saying is I think we ought to be over generous on giving things to these kids instead of
Right.
under. So if we need a donation, to help that happen, I'm happy to do it. I just need to know how much you want. And then Kathy and I can just do something to help out, so.
And Chris Henry said the same thing. He
Right.
said, if I need to call him for a little bit more to help, he would do it
Right.
too. So, he's at the 6,000 mark right now. So I kind of hate but also too, Denny Warman, I talked to him the other day, and, he said he needs some help with the park. He'll donate some money.
Get it out of Denny first. He needs to, open up
Yeah.
all of these.
Yeah.
And so,
Terry Jones gave us $150 this week to
Wow.
sponsor some.
so I'm happy to help too. So I think just find out what you need. I would do that first before hitting our funds, and then just say, look, we need a couple $100 or something,
Okay, that's
So-
great, thank you.
Speaking of money, I do have a community member that wants to donate some money. He hasn't talked about how much. Is there any special projects or anything that you guys can think of that you maybe would want something for?
Oh, pickleball.
Pickleball?
Well, if they
Got a couple
want-
$100,000.
In all seriousness.
My thoughts are, if they want to donate one of the evergreen trees, that'd be awesome. We could take their picture next to the tree and.
So how much did you say for the evergreens?
Like 230.
$230?
What I'd probably say first is find out what they're
Yeah.
interested in doing.
Yeah.
dollar-wise.
Well, I
maybe I'll do
asked
two.
him that. I
Because
mean,
maybe someone who wants to do a couple thousand, and then.
well, I did bring this attention up because I like to go big or go home. So I have, people in the community have mentioned about something about doing a fishing pier off of there, because when people ride bikes or like a little bit downriver, like south, like some kind of pier. So of course I'm trying to go big. And he's like, well, just come up with some ideas and let me know. But he hasn't mentioned how much. And like you said, I got to give him a few more beers at the Legion
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
I'll buy all the Miller Lite you want for,
But that would be really nice if they wanted to sponsor the trees. It's not that they're hugely expensive.
and you said how much again?
They're they're running about, the last one we paid $230 for, and that was what
Okay.
they
So round to 250.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
so
how
we-
much did you say that you wanted? How many did you want?
We
Two?
want two.
Okay.
Yeah, we have two trees that we pulled out.
Oh, that is,
We want to put evergreens.
that is a
in,
question.
Riverside tree
So at
replacement.
least 500.
Yeah, and that would, and we
Okay.
plant them ourselves, so
Okay,
there's no
so
planting
that's-
install expense.
Okay.
I mean, we did all last year ourselves, we did everything, so.
that would be a question for us, I think, looking at a capital improvement list. And then as we have all these projects stacked with dollars on there, I think that would be good to have as people have an interest in things in the community. Say, okay, 5,000 here, 2,500 there, that type of
Because
thing.
I really didn't have a good answer for him.
Right.
Well, we do have
So-
our park master plan.
Right,
It
right.
has those.
But I
in
think
there
we
as
can,
far as short-term, medium-term,
I
long-term.
think we can dust that down like a one pager and say, okay, here's the 5 projects that, you know,
Can you send me a copy of that? Again? Okay. So I'll talk to him about that. And then you said in the fall?
Yeah, we.
So when would you want the money?
September to tag him, because that's when he gets his fall, big fall ones in.
So with the money by August?
Yeah, that'd be fine, and then we'll get his picture with him,
Okay.
and we'll get it in the paper.
Because he's in and out, like back and forth from here to Florida, so I gotta catch him.
Yeah.
But I have his phone number, of course, so,
Okay,
okay.
perfect, thank you. Everything helps. Yes.
I have one question.
no, I'm done.
You good? Okay. On Jones Fish, on the appropriation report, I saw a list for repair. Was that not just
That was last.
putting it in?
Oh, no, the fee
Okay.
that you saw from them wasn't repair, that was installation.
That's what I figured. It was
Yeah.
labeled repair, so I wanted to make sure.
Well, that
the
was
right
because
brand-
last year they did all that work on it, it probably never
Okay.
got changed in the computer, but yeah, we have
Okay.
an install and we have an uninstall in the
Mhm.
fall. We have those two expenses, unless someone fishes and destroys it again, and then we'll have,
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
Just like I said, it was
yeah.
labeled repair. But okay.
we're good, it works fine, everything's good, so.
So how much did we talk about for pickleball? We don't have a quote. If
The
we're,
pickleball courts they put in for privately run right around 190 to 210. That's the
That's
average
per
price.
court.
Per court.
Yes.
If we do 2 courts, they do give you a discount because they're doing it down the route. So you're looking at about 310 for,
I think we're all in the wrong business, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's start business.
That's exactly right,
Right.
you know.
I
Slap some
just had a
concrete
concrete
down.
guy.
Why does it cost so much?
so asphalt,
Fence, asphalt, seal.
seal, yeah,
I just
asphalt.
had a quote for my driveway at my shop, 25 wide, 60 long, for $4,400.
Yeah.
Yeah, concrete's
Take it.
expensive right now.
Take it.
No, that's cheap, I
I
think.
know, I think you should jump on that. That sounds really cheap.
Yeah, but what he's saying is what I've said all along, get some Amish crew or that kind of crew, just put the concrete thing up, throw a sealer on it, and don't put any fence up, just, put a cord out there, and net.
Do you have to paint
Do
it?
it for,
It work at all for my driveway.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
that's
just
way
make
bigger
donate
than
for
the
fencing.
right, somebody can donate the fencing, and that's,
You can put the part out there.
Don't know if the pavement structure is exactly the same.
Well,
When I think about your driveway, I think more of like intermediate or a base material. It's a little more open graded, a little more coarse, whereas a tennis court's more of a surface mix, more fine grade.
right.
Well, the reason why they have to do the fine grade is because you can't have any water retention on the pickleball,
Yeah.
because if water works its way down in, the way it's explained to me, if you have
It's
a
more
porous
slippery, too.
pickleball, and water works its way down in and then freezes over time, your
Cracks.
pickleball court completely destroys, and then you're paying for
SOL.
resurfacing,
And
so.
surface mix does cost more than intermediate base too, so, but.
But $5,000 to $200,000.
It's a lot of money.
No
Ground prep is
offense
huge,
there.
leveling, bringing in the right, and then they also
Yeah.
have to bring in the right amount of dirt, the right kind of dirt, so that pickleball court never shifts. It has
Shifts.
to be level, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But still, 200,000
It's
seems
a
like.
concrete idea too, they just brought up. Lasts forever.
The problem is, by the time we get it done, the fad's gonna be over. I mean, it's not going to be, but, they just built that huge Spiece thing, and a lot of people are playing there, so there's not, when we first got those contacts, there was nothing. Now they got, how many in that Spiece thing?
Yeah.
And
So why is it taking so long?
for us to do it, just funds, just money.
Money.
We started this year looking into it as part of our plan.
On the agenda last year.
It was on the agenda because Terry Joe brought it up, but it just didn't,
But you guys just weren't getting that serious.
we weren't getting any, everybody said, let me help you raise money, but nobody actually helped us raise any.
Right.
Well, look at the volleyball courts, they're packed. Right now, cities are packed.
Yeah.
Getting busy,
Oh, yeah.
their team's waiting, so I think.
Maybe invest in those.
Huh?
Maybe even invest in more volleyball courts, maybe?
Well, no, I think pickleball will, if you put a couple courts in, it'll be busier.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Are you lighting them and everything? Is that-
Yeah, they'll be lit because the park doesn't close until 10. So in order for the pickleball to be able to be used pretty much from spring to fall, they would be
How
lit.
big are they? I've never played, so I
The
don't.
lights are the same
60
size
by
as the ones that are on the
40 or something
volleyball.
like
I know it's smaller than tennis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Think like 2/3 of a tennis court.
that's,
yeah.
So,
Maybe check with your concrete guys.
I don't
Troy
know.
Wheeland is huge on
Have you
this.
seen any
He would be
outdoor
a
concrete
great one to.
pickleball? though?
we have one.
Do you have a concrete pickleball outdoor?
Well, no, ours is, we have an indoor basketball court that we've converted to pickleball. When my kids graduated, my wife wanted it converted, so
It's
we did.
indoor or outdoor?
It's indoor.
Indoor, okay.
But it's
I'm saying, have you
concrete.
seen-
You
It's
don't have any
concrete.
special surface.
No.
No. You don't have to.
Yeah, but it's concrete and it plays just fine. I
Yeah.
mean, so,
so the numbers that we were working from before, to my recollection, were, oh my gosh, a few years old now.
2 years
So,
ago, it was 179. Terry Jo brought that to us, and
Yep.
Michelle Hadley brought us that she was gonna try and raise 179,000 and put in the courts, and that's back when asphalt was at this amount of money, you know? And then now asphalt's like this amount of money.
Mhm.
So, and I'm talking to good asphalt people, I'm not talking to anybody that's fly by night, I'm talking to people that, well, you know, the asphalt companies that have worked with us, so.
Mhm.
Who are they?
Wayne Asphalt and the other guy that did
Brooks.
Wayne and Brooks. And they both put pickleball courts in at parks all over Indiana, and
Well, they don't have to be lighted. I mean, they don't have to.
no, we could just close them at dusk.
Yeah. I don't know. People just won't play.
Yeah.
Drawing on it or something, or a plan? I don't know.
So, the rough area that we talked about putting them in, Scott, there's been a couple different places. One option was to put where the existing horseshoe pits are, which we don't have super great utilization on now. We already converted one of them over to a cornhole pit that gets some use, but basically taking that footprint right there and repurposing it
That'd be great.
for this. The other option could be to put them right next to the volleyball courts themselves, as far as kind of expanding a little further to the east, but having them separate, I thought was a good idea, so.
Well, the reason why they work better at the horseshoe is because I guess the average age of pickleball is 60. That right now, pretty much going on, the average age of Rainbow Missionary is 60 years old, and the volleyball kids are all down there yelling, screaming, hollering, making noise.
I agree.
Another element.
60-year-old people don't have patience and tolerate that really well with all that screaming and hollering. And
That's what 20-year-olds do.
It's much quieter down by the South Pavilion, much more. You know.
Excited.
I guess I'm not 60 yet, so okay.
Do you guys
Yeah.
have, is it a
They're having a
design-
good time.
design build, or do you guys don't have any specs on it? Just asking.
Build.
Oh, it's just they
I'll
show you
reach out
what
to a
they
couple of my
know.
other companies that we deal with,
Okay.
that might be another option there.
Yeah, Brian Myers, local concrete guy. Is that who's doing yours?
I would not use Brian.
Yeah.
I
Well, you're
would
doing
not-
asphalt on yours.
I would not use Brian.
That's why when you said.
Pardon?
good
I would not
companies,
use Brian.
You would not use Brian.
No,
Well, because you must see him at the Legion. He
no.
does really good concrete work. Well, we should get a concrete, maybe, you know.
I agree. What, a quote's free.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I just had a guy quote at my driveway. He works for a company. And so, I mean, I can talk to him about,
Concrete.
yeah, concrete.
The reason I brought up Troy is he's local and he is a serious pickleball player. You need somebody
Yeah.
that knows what they're doing. I mean, we try to put it in there and then they're gonna say, oh, you should have done this, or, and he knows the game.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't somebody like that jump in?
Troy actually came to one of our meetings and talked to us, and
Yeah.
he explained everything. His figures were right at 170,000. I still have that in my notes. His figures were at 170, and that's when Michelle Hadley went, well, that's not so bad, let's try to raise that much. And then,
The tennis coach, Josh, was also here.
yeah, and it didn't go, it
100% on
just,
that,
it just didn't.
Well, it's just, I think if you could do it for 50,000 a court, then we'd be all in. probably could.
Concrete?
Yeah, just concrete.
I don't see why you couldn't, Dave.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, you know, you're not gonna have all the bells and whistles.
Right, you don't have to have lights. I mean, and then maybe
So
add the
then-
lights if it's super popular. You do that later with another fundraising, you know. So the ones that are complaining about the lights, no lights. Problem with lights, they get left on, they could be on timers. I know Lakeside Park, the lights are on at like midnight sometimes.
Volleyball courts are on till 10,
Yeah.
yeah. And the kids complain constantly, they call during the summer, why can't they be on till 11 on Friday and Saturday? But the
Tell
park
them
closes
Scott
at
Yoder
10.
lives close by and
The
doesn't want to
bathrooms
hear.
get locked at 10, so,
Give us something.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't care.
yes.
So we're working in those quotes, and then Tyler, I know you mentioned that you wanted to kind of talk to some folks.
Yeah, let me talk to some guys, even asphalt wise that deal with specifically that kind of niche market.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Parkview just donated them.
You're gonna ask about kind
I don't know.
Yeah, I can ask that.
Not for profit, all for you. I mean, isn't that their thing? So.
They're all from new boss.
Okay.
The
So
state
can you
has
send me the
that
specifics?
GoFundMe publicity deal that they made. So if you put up a certain amount, you can get the state to match it through a GoFundMe site. But you have to have a certain amount of matching funds, because it's 50-50 that they do it for. But you say you come up with 50,000 and say we need 50 more, and you can put it out there and promote. And maybe people in the community would kick in that, and it gives them a nice vehicle to do that.
I tried 2 different grants,
Yeah.
and I talked to 10 about them. I tried 2 different grants where we could get money, but your town has to show that you are social economically challenged to get anything from the USDA or anything from any of the government agencies.
Well, I wouldn't go for
And
the feds.
we just can't prove
Some of
that.
my neighbors are socially and
We just
economically
can't prove that we fall.
I am socially, economically challenged.
All right.
There's a bunch of them at like 12
All right.
o'clock.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go ahead and move on.
yeah, okay. This
All right.
next one, that's David Gall, by the way. I'm going to put David's name by it.
Oh, sure.
For the-
Electrical.
For the new business, David wanted.
No,
David-
new
Oh.
business.
He wanted me to bring that up.
Well, let's move on to old business then. So we already talked about the pickleball courts, electrical. Amy.
So Ron Seiler, I think we talked about that. We had that one quote for 20-some thousand.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ron Seiler, I thought I sent that to you. Sorry, my mother passed away and that was Liv's birthday, so I haven't been here. I think Ron Seiler was about 8,000. Do you need me to get another quote? Because Ron did the original, and then, I mean, Ron sent it to me in a paper version. He didn't send it in an email, that's why, and I meant to bring it with me tonight. So do we need one more quote?
So,
What do you think?
Angela, refresh my memory.
How many quotes do you need?
Under $15,000, we have to have 3 quotes. Yes. So yes, we need at least one more quote, I would say. So,
Okay.
Voton was the one.
Votal, and then Ron Seiler,
All right.
and then Cordy.
Cordy didn't quote it though, right?
I was waiting to hear back from them
Okay.
again. Excuse me. Jeez.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
You didn't drink the water from the tap, did you, Dave?
Oh, the boil water.
Ouch.
Just filtered water from New Cedarville.
That's why we got a well.
Fort Wayne's got its issues too right now.
From my well. My well's probably, who knows how old.
Well, the quote
If
from
you
Ron
get
is
city water, that'd be great.
definitely more in the ballpark of what I was thinking all along, so that's encouraging to see. So, yeah, let's try to chase down that Cordy quote. Trying to think.
Sorry, that's taking so long.
Are there any other electrical contractors that we could try to reach out to?
Votel's probably number 1 in the county as far as doing the work. Tenorent reached out, Brent, we've all reached out to Votel to do work for us on the poles.
Yep.
You know, they're just,
Yeah, we called LA Electric, but
they never call back. I mean, some of them are just so busy, they don't even want to mess. They just,
Well, and that's,
you know.
excuse me, and that's what, like, one other, I think it was someone else, because Christian, who's the people that own the shops? They work for
Schlotters.
Ron Seiler,
Schlotters.
Schlotters, yeah. So he used to work for Ron Seiler, and the company that he's working for now, I think it's Service. Or I called Service, and they didn't want to touch it because they're too busy. So that's what you're running into.
Master said the same thing. He said, are you looking for October, November? And I said, maybe. That's when they could free up people to do some work, so.
And we already, I mean, we'll probably, I guess, ended up going with Ron because he's already done the work there before, but I will get that.
I think, yeah, we just
will
need,
happen
we just need a third quote,
this week, I
just to show
promise.
that we've done our due diligence, so yeah. I know that was, a few years back when you were doing the park building, getting electrical contractor to come out to do the temp service was a bit of a struggle at that time, so. All right.
It's David, the new business.
I was
is
gonna say if there's anything else on old business.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, moving on, new business. So, yes, David,
Well,
fishing, trespassing.
I don't know if people, I don't know, Tana knows about it, Scott knows about it, I don't know anybody else, but we have the ramp that we don't have. What do? We mow it, right? Is that all we do, Tana?
That's all, we just.
We are responsible, we own the land where the parking is. That's it.
Oh, up at the road.
We're talking Cedarville right now? Okay. Just make
So
sure
we
we're on
do
the same
own the
page.
land where the parking is
Just
at the street.
parking.
Okay.
But the yards where people are walking through are private, the gate they cross down by is Fort Wayne land. And I have received these complaints as well. And for several weeks now, I've been meeting with the sheriff's department, the DNR, I've talked to City of Fort Wayne, and the answer's all the same, in that Fort Wayne is not gonna prosecute anyone for trespassing back there. So sending someone back for the trespassing is, they won't enforce. The parking area, if we can catch people, and this is what I talked with the sheriff and with Andrew about, if we can catch people when they are leaving their car in the wrong spot, they can tell them not to park there, but once they've abandoned their car there, the sheriffs are not gonna go walking all over looking for the people who own the cars that are parked in the way. They can't just sit there and monitor it like that. And as far as the people who are going down along the shoreline and cutting through private property, the only way they can enforce on private property is if the owner of the property calls when the people are actively on their land and call 911 and ask the sheriff to come and remove the trespassers. In that case, the sheriff would come, but only if the owner calls. They won't call if the neighbor calls, only if the owner calls, and each owner has told me they are unwilling to call.
So do you guys understand the problem?
So,
Okay,
I
let me
want to ask
yeah.
two clarifying questions. So, just to make sure I'm understanding this, people are parking at the Cedarville launch, and
At the
then
Pearl
they
Street
are
launch.
leaving their
They're
car
walking down
and walking.
Pearl, and
Okay.
they're walking down the end of Ewing, dead end,
Mhm.
where there's a huge 6-foot fence, says no trespassing, City of Fort Wayne, blah, blah, blah. But then there's a opening about this wide. They just walk through, there's a clear path.
Okay.
And the problem has been that people can't get their boats in because they parked so many cars in even the ramp area that they can't. And again, I talked to Jan, she goes, well, it's not our issue. And Tenek says, well, it's not our issue, though I didn't know we owned the parking. So
Yes.
that is ours. But it's a town nuisance. I'm sure, Scott, you've heard about it too.
I have, and we had the same problem over here until we had the construction and put the extra parking. They're parking boat trailers over at the park.
Right.
It's just, I mean, people like to use it to fish, in by boats and by foot, and how are you gonna police it?
Well, so anyway, so the problem is that they're out there peeing, like squatting down in the middle of our parking lot peeing. I mean, they're just, it's just not good. They're not permitted with fishing permits in most cases, is what we found out. So it's just become a town nuisance for those people anywhere in that area down there, which includes that, Pearl, Ewing, and.
Ewing or Ellsworth?
Ellsworth, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ellsworth.
Gotcha.
So Ellsworth, that ends into it. So anyway, so I got a contact for Tenna, and I gave Scott, I gave him your number as well.
Right here.
I talked to the director of the dam today, and he is totally wants to be cooperative. He gets it, understands it. My theory is that the town, or we can make the recommendation, the town would probably be the best one, signage on that area that we own, we can say, this is for the ramp only, and all other cars will be towed. Now, if I'm parking there, I'm not gonna take the chance of getting towed, especially the way those neighbors are watching like a hawk, because they'll call and say they're not in the park. And if they can't find them in the park, then they can tow the vehicle.
We're gonna get that cost.
Pardon?
That's gonna be a town cost.
What, the towing? Because they won't get their cars. Yeah.
You get the signs, sir.
And
Well,
then we would
no,
have
he
to
said he'd pay for the
have
signs.
people towing that, we would have to have somebody on site to identify that this car has been here, whatever is too long.
Well, and I'm thinking if they have a kayak rack on their top, and it's like,
Right.
what burden of proof do you have to prove that they're not actually out on the reservoir?
Right.
Yes, and
Like
this is
yeah.
my long conversation with the DNR today, finally, because I've left multiple messages, was just that question. He controls it frequently, and he does get people, he can cite people, and he does. He cite people who don't have fishing licenses, who are littering if he sees them litter. But if there's litter around and there's people standing there, he can't say, that's your
Your
litter,
litter.
if he didn't see them throw it down.
Mhm.
And so he's very strapped on what he can ticket
Does it
them
have
or
proof?
charge them with, because he has to witness the infraction.
Does that have proof?
And as far as towing those vehicles,
Well, you might not have you tow them, it just might be the threat of
the
it.
sign, I mean, if we put up a sign that says, do not block the boat landing, but the people don't read English, it doesn't do any good. Just like when they walk past a no trespassing sign, there's a sign, they see it, they walk past it, go
Yeah.
away.
I think they
So
can
how
see
do you
enough to know.
enforce? Like, how do you enforce?
How much of that riverbank, and that's what Scott went in to figure out, how much of that riverbank's owned by the city of Fort Wayne, down through there?
All
Yeah.
of it, all the banks.
All of
So
Why
how
would
are
they- why would
are
they-
they trespassing and walking
The city of Fort
across?
Wayne owns the
They do
first
want
10
that much
12
better.
feet of the riverbank.
Where are they walking across private property?
That's what Julie said, they cut back the like 100 yard.
But they
Oh,
own
yeah,
all
so-
of that, like your property ends here, and they own all of that land to the water.
Yeah, they own all the way through. The opening that right now they're going through is like this wide, and it's
So
between
that's
the fence.
Well, the first question is Fort Wayne needs to close that opening.
Exactly, and he's okay with that. He gets it. They cut it down before. I said, well, then put it back up. I mean, they do it at the reservoir all the time.
Well, yeah.
The problem is we're not getting their attention, and it's putting pressure on you, and we're gonna keep getting calls.
Talking about
me
this
what you
opening
have.
there?
I'll call the mayor.
Yeah,
this
there it is, right there.
You see that?
And Ron, this guy
This
is,
opening there.
So this is a
he's
citizen?
the director of the dam and controls it. And he was
Well, I mean-
super cooperative and understands. This is the first time I've ever had this, just so
Yeah.
you know. So I get your frustration.
So you just need to put something there.
Yeah, and it needs, I said, put wood, put it permanent, that they
Well, I mean,
can't cut
that's-
it down.
If someone gives me the details of it, I will go to the mayor and I will talk to him.
Well, and this guy, I'll give you his number.
All right.
He is fabulous, Ron. I mean, he just was super cooperative. He gets it, give him this one.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jan said it's not a parks issue. I said, well, it's our issue. It's the
Okay.
town. I mean, and.
So you talked to him?
Yeah, he was great. And he said, give that number out limited, so he does not want me to publish that or give it to neighbors.
Okay.
That's his personal cell.
I'll give him a call.
Yeah, if you talk to him, but I think signs, I mean, we put signs up all over, right? I mean, what's wrong with a sign that says subject to tow? Doesn't mean we're gonna tow them.
At owner's expense.
At owner's expense. If I see that, and there's gonna be somebody that knows English in those vehicles,
Well, who's parking there?
it's all efficient, they're
Yeah.
mainly
But there's
Guatemalan
also people
immigrants is what they're
launching their
finding.
boats and
Who
kayaks.
live where?
Fort Wayne.
These are the same people that we had trouble with last year. It's the same Guatemalan people. Do you remember when I came to you and I told you that we were finding camping equipment and everything along the river in the park at Riverside?
Or the squatting?
Okay, so it's the same group of people that come back up here in the summer and for.
So they're coming from Fort Wayne to here?
Oh, yeah.
Right, they're coming up and they're camping, they're squatting, they're tenting, and they were doing it in Cedarville until we had Andrew remove everybody and get rid of all of them and tell them they were gonna be fine.
Well, I don't feel like a sign's gonna help. I feel like we need to block it off.
Well, that's the other thing, you could just eliminate that parking that's right on the road.
So the people that I've been talking to are with the city utilities because everyone's.
Right,
And
Right, but they'll let them put something up there. I mean, they've gotta block it off. I mean, then they should run a fence all the way across the back of Julie's. But they could just put between that building, did you see the picture of it?
No, it's all.
It's all city.
It's all, oh yeah, they're going, no, Randy's next to it, but he's in the woods past it. That's all city of Fort Wayne, they're walking straight through.
Yeah, it's not private property that they're walking across, they're walking across the
See it for me.
Here's the answer, you're gonna,
Properties if they feel it's theirs.
here's what my conversation with him is. Cause I've gone through this same group with just the little piece that I've got in front of my house. And they want people to get a lease, they want people to stay off, they were saying liability, we have liability. Cause they sued up north, they sued some Amish and they got sued by a guy that got hurt on a mower. So when you say to them, you have a public liability back there of young children, you know, and trash, and who knows what's going in that river, then that's gonna get it fixed, in my opinion.
That's your best option.
Yeah, I mean, you just say, and he gets that.
I've got a better one.
You got a better one. Well, he's the guy.
Matt's got something up his sleeve.
Ken, I'll give you his number too, but just don't give this out to anybody other than, you know, because he was just,
Fort Wayne.
that is the most cooperation I've ever heard from anybody in the city of Fort Wayne with that dam.
What's his name?
Jason Anspa.
And spa.
Anspa, sorry.
So here's the big thing though. When Julie Yoder calls on Monday and says, oh my gosh, this weekend people were all down my property and walking everywhere and creating such a nuisance, and Ted says, Julie, why didn't you call 911? Well, I'm telling you about it today.
I would say.
Okay, so this is the thing. We need to get those people to call the time that it's happening, and then Andrew or someone will come out, because they're actually walking through their property. They're not, you know what I mean? Like they're walking.
All right,
No, they're just
so-
walking right behind their garage.
So bringing
Yeah.
this back.
Right.
So
Bring your 12 gauge out, that won't be a problem anymore,
Well,
so.
Right,
Hey, I'm
Matt's gonna
afraid of
handle
that.
it.
So there's the limiting of access. And
Correct.
there's a couple of different
Number
avenues that
one.
we're gonna be trying
Yep.
to take to block that off.
Yeah.
If the problem persists, then do we wanna come back and revisit this about what we might or might not do in the parking lot? Because if you take away the access,
Well, this would
and
be
they're not
one-
parking there anymore and they
This
can't
would be
get
one
through,
worth a
then
field trip too, because I don't know what you're talking about.
This would really be
So-
town council.
If you wanna
Have anything to do with that
leave
parking
your own,
lot.
take it down, show you. It's just
City
right
Road
here.
launch?
We mow it, but.
Or you can just drive
We
down.
don't pay tax on it, we don't own it, we have nothing to do with it, we have a verbal agreement with them to mow it in exchange for use of it.
But he said that he would call his sign company and put signs up.
So, I'm just
I mean,
saying.
if they're gonna pay for the sign, he said he would go to the
It's been
sign
the Parks
company
Department.
if we gave him some
for as
direction.
long as I've been around.
We have.
And they would put signs
There
up.
is
That's
nothing
gotta help
written
some.
Or anywhere that says that the city
Right.
of Fort Wayne gave us.
And then if the sheriff does catch them
authority over that.
coming
The
up,
city of Fort Wayne, not the
they're not only not having a permit, they're trespassing and they're parking illegally. They had this, you're too young, but on the other side, they came in from the dam side, from the St. Joe Road side, and for years,
Oh, I see it all the time.
they would, and they finally, I don't know how they finally stopped that.
They park out there in the road, walk all the way back,
Yeah.
go over the fence.
On that farmer's field?
Yeah, on that farmer's
The
field.
DNR told me the reason that stopped is because the farmer continually called the sheriff's department when they were on site, and the sheriff evicted them, and they quit going that way.
See?
And
Now
that's
they
why
come this way.
they want the residents to call when they're on site, so they can go and actively catch them.
Why are the residents so
Scared the
hesitant to
bejesus
call?
Good.
She just
They don't wanna
told
get
me
involved.
She just doesn't think that's the right answer.
Well, 911, they just think it's it's not an emergency.
Yeah.
The other thing too that we talked about is, he said that they would consider pressing charges if they were trespassing. And that's you've not heard. But he told me that if it's a public nuisance and a safety issue, that they would probably press charges.
City utilities.
City utilities, because they own the ground.
Okay.
So I think if we get it, you got it. I think it'll improve it for sure.
So,
That's how they
there's
start.
not a park down there,
No,
so this ain't a parking issue,
No, it's not.
it's,
in my opinion.
The
No.
parking, so the parking lot, the launch,
Is that park boards?
yeah.
no, it's
Then
not.
it's, for as, Janet, I'm telling
I
you,
don't
for as long as I've been around,
I-
it's been the Parks Department.
The launch has been owned by us.
I looked for every
So-
single piece of information to find out that the
I
city
don't-
gave
I don't-
us
Yeah,
that.
the launch is owned by
The
us.
light bill comes out of parks, I know that much.
Exactly.
Then there you go, okay.
So,
But I could
That
not
makes
find
more
one
sense.
thing in any of the things for 20 years that said that the city of Fort Wayne deeded that to us or gave that to us, other than that we agreed to mow it. There's an agreement to mow it.
I just
So-
think it's a pseudo town.
Pays the light bills,
It's theirs.
It's a pseudo town problem, and I think it's a group effort. You've got connections. I was gonna call you guys next with this guy's number. Now Tena has it. I think if we put effort into it and there's cooperation, I think it'll stop.
Can you get the residents to help us, Dave?
Oh, they'll call if they,
Yeah.
it
I mean,
absolutely.
seriously, if you can get the residents to call,
Yeah.
either the non-emergent number, I think this will recommend.
She's there 24 hours a day. She'll call. Timbo, I'm afraid will shoot him, but.
Just so, this is what I just got from the DNR today. He said, the DNR is at a crossroads with this situation. The access site is Fort Wayne ground, the actual access
Right.
is Fort Wayne ground. But the lot is a town lot. And so it's our access lot, but they're ground.
Yep.
And that that's when he got into the thing that they're really torn because it's so many property owners and you can't just kick people out of the public access. You could, this is what he said you could do, is give the DNR jurisdiction over that access site, and they then could, if they caught people littering or
There you
parking
go,
on
Ron.
site violations. However, then they would list it on the DNR's public access
Yeah.
list, and you'd get more people coming, because
Right.
then they would be open
that's a great
on
idea.
the
Yeah,
state
that's not good.
DNR list, which I did not think was the right way to go personally, if we're already having too much parking, and then you have the DNR access site, you
Well-
have more people, and that still would not give them more than 2 people to manage the 9 counters
Right.
that they manage. So-
I think the response you just gave, what fixed the problem over there, Sheriff. They get enough 911 calls, they're gonna put it, and we get enough cooperation to block it off, I think it'll happen.
They're gonna attack.
Yeah, they're not, well, if they're, in a lot of people
Path
say
least
they're,
resistance.
yeah, if they're
Take away.
not, yeah.
Well, they need to go to Hirschtown Reservoir.
You need a 911.
They need to go.
Yeah, the Hirschtown Reservoir is
Hirschtown
open.
Reservoir is a great place to
So is
fish.
Riverside Gardens.
And Hirschtown Reservoir is a great place to fish. And, yeah,
Oh, you don't want the campments.
I don't want the camping anywhere in the park.
Well, there's diapers back there, it's gross. It is so gross.
That's sad.
Okay,
Yeah,
Anything else on the subject?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
that's it.
Public comment?
Thank you.
Wow. It's a little less informal, so. All right. With no further business then, we will adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so when you GIS it, if you go on Allen County GIS and you look at all that property, get a map on it, and nowhere does it ever say any of it is owned by the Leo or the Park or the trust.
So,
Yeah, there
If you
is
look
on
at
the
GIS, it'll tell
RMLS
you
map
that
shows.
NDOT doesn't own to the center, that property owners own to the center of
You
State
can
Road 1.
click on
I
that.
can tell you, that's just not.
Hey, do you guys know that we own the
Right.
center, do you know that we own the current State Road 1?
But
It stops right
it's an issue